Hi again then guys, and welcome to yet another Le Mans tune setup. And for those who are completely new to my prototype tunes, the reason why we're using this car on this track, even though it's not necessarily the best of top-end cars on Lasat compared to, say, Group C machines or the far more powerful, say, 2006 kind of era like the Peugeot 908, but the reason why we're still testing on the Le Mans, or on Le Mans, is because that's basically my benchmark, so it still gives you a good idea of how it compares to those other cars. And in the case of something that is as OP as the Porsche 919, it actually compares really well despite the top speed disadvantage. Now, as far as upgrades, as you can see, as with all of my prototype tunes, I have upgraded it. However, this is balance and performance friendly. You don't have to upgrade it because it's all about the settings. Those things like power and torque just make an advantage if you want to have it. It's not essential though, of course. Now, as far as traction control, I'd recommend having it off because you've got the all-wheel drive advantage. It's down to you though. So, as far as the tyres, we've got racing hards. Again, that's dependent on the driver, the circumstance, etc. Ride height we've got on 60 and 80. Frequency on 4. Anti-roll on 5 for the front and back. 57 on the compression aspect of the dampers, 84 on rebound, neutral camber and tow. The downforce, of course, for this track as low as possible. You've still got more than enough. On other tracks, of course, that's down to you. You'll have to change it as necessary. It does have a ton of grip anyway, though, so again, I wouldn't necessarily recommend going too crazy high for downforce. As far as the diff, I've got the lowest initial torque, as you can see, then the highest settings all round for acceleration and braking, and finally, of course, for the gearbox, which will need to vary depending on the power. Of course, balance and performance will be a factor as well. So I've got an auto setting of 249, then individual gears of 3.2, 2175, 1625, 1285, 1065, 925 and 840 with a final drive of 3240. Now this is designed, as with many of my tunes like this, to be fast under its own power. But the problem with that sometimes is that you will redline if you try to slipstream someone because it's designed to be fast on its own. So if you do need it to be able to go quicker in draft or in slipstream, then you might want to either extend 7th gear a little bit lower, take that number a little bit lower in other words, or you could just extend the final drive a bit lower, say to 3.2 if you want to round it off, or even 3.1 or lower. But of course that will affect its acceleration and top speed when it's not in slipstream. So it's give and take. You have to set up the car based on what you know you're going to need. So that's it for the tune. Of course, as always, there's a ton of room for personal twist, personal variation, testing. But all that remains, as we always do, is to take it out to Lasat to see what kind of lap times it can give you. Now, as many people already know, in fact the majority of people in GT Sport, the 919 is a pretty OP vehicle. It's got tons of grip. I personally love the handling on this car, even though, funnily enough, I'm not a fan of the car itself all that much. In fact, I'm not a big fan of any of the latest LMP machines. I just prefer the old school ones. But the handling on this is definitely a pleasure to work with, and again, even if you choose to not upgrade the power and lower the weight or lower the power, blah blah blah, even if you just use it as a handling tune, I think you'll still like it because it corners like it's on rails. It's got a ton of grip even with the lowest downforce settings. Top speed wise, as you can see, you're kind of bouncing around on the red line at 228, so that's what it can do under its own power. You can get it to go even quicker if you want to refine the gearbox, test it a little bit more. But of course my tunes aren't designed to be the best in the world. They're designed to be that canvas that you can work from, just to give you a leg up, basically a little bit of a step ahead what the stock tuning will give you. So in terms of lap time potential, you can see the existing lap is a 3 minute 2 seconds, which is already quicker than my Toyota TS50 tune, so that's a good start given how similar the cars are. But the second lap brings it down to a 3:1. So you're hovering around the 3 minute region. Doubtless different drivers could get it even quicker than me, of course. Probably a good 4 or 5 seconds quicker, if not more. So it definitely has a ton of potential, and it really is a testament to just how good it is through the corners, that even with such a slower top speed, it's a good 20 to 30 miles per hour quicker than some of my other tunes, or slower I should say, not quicker. And yet it's still not that far behind some of them. It's only about 4 or 5 seconds off a Group C car, and they can do over 240. to this car's 228. So it really does show the kind of advances in cornering tech, in grip, in downforce. So if you do use this tune for this car, I hope you have a ton of fun with it, and you can definitely win plenty of races with it as well. So if you want to see all of my other Le Mans tunes, click on screen here to do that. But for now, as always, thanks for watching.